Welcome to Spin That Back. This is Rick.
I'm Eric.
And this is our review of Ant-Man, directed by Peyton Reed.
Starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Corey Stoll.
Paul Rudd playing Scott Lang, who through all these different circumstances ends up crossing paths with Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, who was the original Ant-Man. Corey Stoll plays Darren Cross, who's taken over Pym Tech from Michael Douglas and created the new technology and made it into Yellow Jacket, which is going to be like
basically an army.
Yeah, like an army that he's going to create using that technology that's able to transform a human and shrink him down to an ant.
He shrinks down in size and he multiplies in power. Evangeline Lilly plays his daughter, and she actually works for Cross. She's kind of like in between both of them, where she's working for the company and at the same time, like, she's trying to help her dad out, take down this guy because he's eventually going to use this and sell it as a weapon.
What'd you think?
It was the shit. I really liked it. I actually went in expecting a fun Marvel movie, and it was very fun. I think this has been one of my favorite movies of the summer so far. And originally they were going to get Edgar Wright to direct it, which I think would have been pretty cool. But at the same time, I know creative differences didn't allow for that. But bringing that onto screen and actually seeing it, it looked fucking sick.
Yeah. And he's still credited as a co-writer. So you can see Edgar Wright's touches on the movie. But Peyton Reed, I thought, did a pretty good job building off of what Edgar Wright had in mind for the movie. So Paul Rudd sort of fits in really nice as a superhero, but also like the funny guy that he usually is in most roles that he plays.
One of the better first entries for a superhero, because it's someone that most people don't really know. I mean, only hardcore comic book fans have heard of him and they love him, but like most of the people like me, like I didn't really know much about him, so it was really cool just being able to see that, and the way they tied everything in was like perfect.
Yeah,
like they introduced certain things, and you kind of bring up that whole question of like, oh, well, like the Avengers don't come out ever like in their individual movies, but it's pretty cool because this one kind of takes it and it writes the plot around that whole aspect of it and how they can't really contact the Avengers, but there's a lot of references to it, and there's actually one scene with a character from the Avengers. That was pretty cool, but we can see how it ties in.
That was like one of the better fight scenes in the movie too.
Yeah, it tied in perfectly. I thought they did an amazing job.
And I know some people had issues with Hank Pym not being the focus of the story. Then instead they jumped over to Scott Lang's storyline. But I mean,
I thought that worked well.
Yeah, I thought it worked well. I mean, if anything, they can maybe go back and do like an origin story of Hank Pym when he was younger. Him and the Wasp, who's also mentioned. Like that could actually be something like kind of how they did with Captain America. Maybe they could do like, because it just sort of fits better with the timeline that they have going now.
Yeah,
I think in
it's
the
great.
MCU,
The way
it fits better.
The way they wrote it worked. I think it worked out perfectly. Michael Douglas did a good job. He looks like Colonel Sanders. But he did a good job.
The special effects were really dope, especially the first time you see Scott turn to Ant-Man, like the small size. I mean, it was really dope, like the macro photography that they did. I mean, you just really get that scale, like where everything just feels really huge. You can tell like they filmed it specifically so that you get that sense of like everything like feels really huge around you.
Making these like big set pieces like towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when you think about it, like we're in this one like really small place, but just the sense of scale when you actually see it from their perspective, it makes it look huge.
Like the part you see in the trailer with the train, with the toy train.
Thomas the Tank. That's like a whole like big action sequence right there, and it was the shit, and it worked. It worked very well.
Yeah, and what I really dug was how the fight switch between like him being small and then he turns big and then he turns small again, and like the way it switches back and forth between that.
Cool.
I thought it was really dope. So what about the cons? Anything?
Very minor. I mean, honestly, like I just went into it wanting to be entertained, and I was like entertained the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like it might have dragged a little bit in some parts.
I think that the beginning was a lot of setup at the beginning. But if anything, like the movie got stronger as it went towards the end. It wasn't the other way around. It didn't start strong and then end weak. Maybe Yellow Jacket could have been a little more fleshed out. I think that's one of the problems in the MCU is that I think they're just having problems finding like a really good villain.
They're so focused on their heroes that their villains are kind of like their weak point for the most part.
I thought Corey Stoll, I mean, he was okay as Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. I usually see him as Peter Russo in House of Cards. At least he played the role. I mean, how they wrote it, because he doesn't really have much control over how they write the character. But I think with the material he was given, he did a pretty good job.
So in closing, really dug this movie. Like he said, probably like one of the more fun movies of the summer. And I just thought really, I mean, Marvel's not slowing down. They keep coming with it. A really good intro to a new character into the MCU, and we'll be seeing that with the next few movies coming in. But I mean, if you love the Marvel movies so far, This is right up there is like one of the best ones. So I give it.
I really liked it. It was
tight, yeah.
Give us your comments, suggestions down at the bottom. Hit that thumbs up if you like the video. Share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.